Images from the Gulf of Mexico show a fire burning in the water. Come look at the screen. You'll never see something like this.
It still boggles the mind to look at it. It may look just like a scene from a disaster movie, but this is real. This video captured today when the ocean caught fire in the Gulf of Mexico just west of the Yucatan Peninsula. Those dramatic images of the ocean aflame quickly going viral on social media. Some people calling it an eye of fire, while others said it looked like the portal to hell opening up.
Undersea gas pipeline ruptured, causing flames to bubble up from beneath the surface. That is unreal.
Just describe for us what it was like.
Well, thanks for having me. It was apocalyptic is really the only words I can use to describe it without exaggeration.
Military aircraft have been mobilised to help evacuate towns and fight more than 130 wildfires tearing across Western Canada.
There are 137 fires burning across BC. 69 of them were sparked in the last 2 days alone.
The unprecedented heat wave and wildfires have left the country reeling and worried this will become the new normal.
Buckled roadways and seared power lines. In the U.S., the heat is fueling 44 large fires across nearly a dozen states.
Millions are suffering in the Pacific Northwest as a stalled-out heat dome drives temperatures to historic and dangerous numbers. Meanwhile, a separate heat wave is baking the east.
There are new fears tonight about the lava fire burning in Northern California. It's grown rapidly and forced thousands to evacuate. Officials are concerned that the dangerous heat could prompt more fires.
Lightning, that is also a concern. It's responsible for so many of the fires in the BC interior. 12,000 lightning strikes on Thursday alone, including in Kamloops, where residents in 2 neighborhoods were forced to evacuate.
A huge search and rescue operation is underway in Japan tonight after a landslide swept away an entire section of a city. The disaster was triggered by heavy rains and more than a dozen people are missing.
Locals could hear it before they could see it. A wall of water and mud collecting everything in its way. Furniture, cars, entire homes swept up in its rage. Power poles exploding as they were torn from their foundations. This driver, while trying to avoid the initial trickle, unknowingly turns into the path of destruction. The landslide struck in the seaside city of Atami, 2 hours south of Tokyo. The concoction of debris and earth continuing to creep through the streets long after the moment of impact. At least 19 people are missing, with 10 homes destroyed. A search and rescue mission now underway. Those who are high enough to be safe left in disbelief, recording the extent of the devastation. The region had been battered by heavy rain for several days, causing widespread flooding and smaller landslips like this one, precursors to a force no one saw coming.
This is NBC Bay Area News Tonight. I'm Raj Mathai. We'll start with our breaking news. That sharp jolt and some shaking on this Monday evening. A 3.9 magnitude earthquake about 30 minutes ago. This was felt in many parts of the Bay Area. The East Bay, where it was centered, the Peninsula, San Francisco, Marin County, just about everywhere. A lot of people telling us this was the strongest quake they felt in years.
We were getting reaction from some of our viewers, showing us what the moments were like inside of their homes as things were starting to rattle and shake during this 3.9 magnitude earthquake. Folks that I got a chance to talk with in this neighborhood nearby the epicenter say they definitely felt the intensity of it.
Probably going to see a lot of this. This video, you see this chandelier swinging. This is in San Francisco. Obviously, we also expect a lot of liquor stores perhaps to lose some of their inventory and grocery stores as well.
And I took to Twitter right afterwards and got some responses from people on Twitter, people in Clayton, Half Moon Bay, Emeryville, Berkeley, Oakland. A lot of people reporting feeling that earthquake today. One person in Oakland says, my entire house shook and my dog is confused. TR from Donahue from Berkeley says it was a quick and strong earthquake in Berkeley. And even our writer who works from home in San Francisco says that her apartment felt like there was a bubble underneath it. So it definitely was a very noticeable.
The color coding on this map, shaking intensity increases as you get into the yellow and the orange. And what's kind of unique here is from San Ramon to Danville, there's some pretty moderate shaking that occurred relatively far away from where this quake's epicenter was. As you see from San Leandro to Hayward into Oakland, people reporting this shaking intensity being felt from San Francisco down through Daly City, and a few stations actually picking up some of that light to moderate shaking, if you look closely here, all the way down to Santa Cruz and almost to Morgan Hill. So if an earthquake of this size now revised to 3.9.
Your first experiences as well, wasn't it?
It definitely was. Needless to say, when I was in the KRON 4 newsroom this evening preparing another story, I couldn't believe what was happening in the moment. I had to take a few seconds to really process what was happening. As I told Vicky and Grant at 9 o'clock, I'm from Texas. There, we're used to walking on the ground, moving on the ground, not having the ground move on us. I also called my mom to let her know what was happening today, so she's not too worried about me. She just wanted to make sure I'm all right.
All this talk of a modern God or no God. There is one God, the God of the Israelites. And he is a stern and vengeful God. And we have been mocking him far too long. And now he demands retribution in blood. It is time to declare yourselves. Take sides, the saved and the damned. Read the good book. It calls for expiation, blood.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many.
And whatsoever you shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If ye love me, keep my commandments.